guys, welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to see the topic Lombok in Java. What is Lombok? Lombok is a Java-based library which is used to reduce boilerplate code for model Java objects. Lombok provides various annotations which makes our code more easier. Let's see with some examples. Before getting to the project, we need to install a Lombok plugin into your IDE. I use IntelliJ, so let me show how you have to install Lombok plugin in IntelliJ. Go to settings and you have to click plugins and you have to browse repositories. Just type Lombok plugin. So I already installed, so it's showing like this. Otherwise, the install icon will be visible here. You just click that icon, Lombok plugin will be installed into your IntelliJ. If you use Eclipse, just download Lombok plugin into your Eclipse. Let's go to the project. So I created a sample project, a Lombok Java example. It's a Maven project. I already added Lombok dependency in the pom.xml. I am using the version 1.16.12. Let me create one Pojo class. So I created one Pojo class called user. I will create some fields. So let me make it more simple. So Lombok, normally if we create a Pojo class, we used to create getters, setters, sometimes you have to create equals and hash codes, sometimes you will override string methods, you have to do default constructor, constructed with argument, etc., a lot of things. So Lombok, using Lombok, through annotations, we can remove that boilerplate code in the Pojo classes. Let me show some examples here. I created two fields. Normally, we used to create getters and setters like this. So if you see the structure, so you can see the getters and setters of user ID and username. If we use Lombok, how can we remove these getters and setters? So let me show. So if you want to use getter and setters using Lombok, you just add these annotations on the top of the field. So for example, like this. See, it's all automatically generated and getters and setters of the user ID. So Lombok has like this. We have Lombok more annotations for equals and hash codes, default constructor, no arguments constructors, and you can also use builder at builder. Design patterns, and you can use if we want to make it the field as not nullable, you can also use Lombok annotations. So let me show. For example, if you want to make this field as not nullable, you can make this field as non-nullable. So if you want to make a default constructor, no constructor argument, we have annotation called no argument constructor. So it will create a constructor. If you want to create a constructor with arguments, you can create all. We can do this annotation all arguments constructor, so it will create a constructor with arguments. If you want to implement toString, so you can put this annotation. It will create toString, it will override the toString method. Let me execute some. I'm going to get some set some user ID and username, and I will show you the output. So user dot get user, see that automatically that setters and getters are visible here. So instead of creating manually and through the annotations using Lombok, you can easily implement. techragesh. So I am going to print this. Let me run this program. See the output. So using Lombok, you can remove your boilerplate code in the Pojo classes. So in your real-time application, you can drive with the Lombok. So to even make it more easier, so Lombok provide a nice annotation called data. So if you use this annotation data, so it will create, see, if I remove this annotation, so everything gone, you have only the fields. And if I use data annotation, it will create a constructor, sorry, default constructor, because we make it as a not null, so it's mandatory. So it's create a constructor with a string field, and it create a getters and setters of user ID and username, and it automatically create a equals and hash codes, and it override a toString method. By using these annotations, very powerful. You can remove your all the lines of code from the Pojo classes. It's Lombok is very helpful in the real-time application. You can try with your this Lombok site. So if we click features, so Lombok is providing various features. We already see before at not null. So we have at cleanup annotation also there for closing streams, sessions and all. So we already saw at getters and setters annotations, and also we have at toString, and we can also use at equals and hash code. We have no arguments constructor and all argument constructor and required arguments constructor. We also used our data which covers all these annotations. We can also use at value, which means you can want to make final class as a final, so you can use that annotation. If you want to use filter design pattern, you can use that builder annotation. If you want to make synchronized, then you can use synchronized annotation. You want to make that field as a lazy, then you can use at getter, you can lazy is equal to true. You can also use for logging also. Lombok is giving lot of features for SL4J log, a lot of things, so we can also use logging. Basically Lombok is giving lot of features to remove our boilerplate code. So you can also use in your application. That's all for this video. Please subscribe this video. We will meet in the other video soon. Thank you guys. Bye.